On the night of October 12, 1984, Angela Samota, a 20-year-old student at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas, went out with two friends, Anita Smith and Russell Bokanen. Their goal was dancing and unwinding, but not heavy drinking, because the next day was the massive University of Texas versus Oklahoma football match. Angela wanted to watch it sober. Angela drove the group in her white Toyota Celica to the library, a bar near Southern Methodist University campus. They shared one pitcher of beer over 90 minutes while playing pool. Around 11:15 p.m., they moved to the Rio Room, a popular nightclub. Angie wore a black silk jumpsuit and heels at that day. She danced with Anita mostly, and her male friend stayed at the table. At 12:45 a.m., October 13th, Russell made an awkward advance near the dance floor. He tried to kiss Angie. She pushed him off and said, "Not happening." The mood soured. Angela announced, "Let's go, I have to drive." Later, both Russell and Anita said she seemed completely normal. She was talking clearly, walking fine and in control. She didn't look tired or out of it. So when it was time to head home, Angela offered to drive. They all left the club just before 1 a.m. She dropped Russell off first, a little after 1 a.m., since his place was closer. Then she drove Anita home, dropping her off around 1:30 a.m. It was a calm and quiet drive. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Now, Angela was alone in her car. Most people might have headed straight home at that time, but Angela didn't. She decided to make a quick stop at her boyfriend, Ben McCall's condo. She knocked on his door and woke him up. They spoke for a few minutes, and Angela jokingly reminded him that he had work early the next morning. Ben later described the moment as light and cheerful. After that short visit, Angela left. It took her about 15 minutes to reach her apartment. It was around 1:45 a.m. when she got home. Instead of going to sleep, she picked up her phone and called Ben. But something about the call felt off right from the start. According to Ben, she sounded scared and confused. The first thing she said was, Talk to me." The way she spoke didn't make sense. She was nervous, rambling, and her words didn't really connect. Ben could hear strange noises in the background and asked her twice what those sounds were. That's when Angela said something that made his heart sink. She told him she had let a man into her apartment to use the bathroom and her phone. Just a moment later, Ben heard her say, "The bathroom is down the hall." It was clear from her voice that she was already regretting her decision. Something wasn't right. Angela then asked Ben if there was a public phone at a nearby convenience store. He said, "I'm sure there is." It sounded like she was trying to hint to the man to use the phone somewhere else and leave her apartment. But after that, Ben didn't hear any response from the man. Then Angela told Ben she would call him back, and she hung up. But that call never came. Ben waited, worried. He kept calling her back, but there was no answer. Something was wrong. He could feel it. There was someone dangerous inside her apartment that night, a stranger who had been waiting in the shadows, and it wasn't her boyfriend Ben, and it wasn't her friend Russell either. This mysterious man was Donald Andrew Best Jr., a 36-year-old convicted serial rapist and kidnapper. He was originally given a 25-year sentence in 1978 for a series of violent sexual assaults, but shockingly, after serving just 6 years, he was released early on parole in 1984 because of his good behavior and the overcrowded prison. Just a few months after being released, Donald was out looking for another victim. That night, he found Angela. No matter how good a snake appears, it never gives up its habit of biting. This example fits Donald Andrew Best perfectly. No matter how long he stayed behind bars, he never truly changed. His evil habits were stronger than any punishment. He was a predator, hiding behind a mask of good behavior. And just months after being released, he proved that once again. Now, let's return to the story. Angela had gone out with her friends that evening. Later, she returned to her condo alone. Around 1:45 a.m., she called her boyfriend Ben to chat for a bit. But during the call, Ben heard a knock on her door. Angela told him a man was at her door asking to use her phone and bathroom. He said his car had broken down. That man was Donald. Angela, being kind, let him in, but it was all a lie. After using the bathroom, Donald came out and noticed Angela still talking on the phone. Suddenly, he grabbed a kitchen knife with a 5.5-inch blade, walked toward her, and asked who she was talking to. Sensing something was wrong, Angela quickly ended the call with Ben. Then, without warning, Donald attacked. He picked Angela up and threw her around so hard that her shoes flew off. He dragged her into the bedroom, forced her to undress, and sexually assaulted her at knife point. The horror lasted for over 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Ben grew worried. He kept calling Angela but got no answer, so he got in his car and drove to her place. He knocked on her door but no one came. All the doors were locked. He could hear her phone ringing inside the kitchen, but there was silence. Thinking maybe she had driven the man to a nearby convenience store, Ben drove there to check, but she wasn't there. Back inside, Donald knew someone was at the door. That made him panic. He didn't want to go back to prison, and when a violent man gets desperate, things can turn even darker. He put his hand over Angela's mouth, held the knife, and stabbed her once directly in the heart. But he didn't stop there. He stabbed her 18 more times. The attack was so vicious that her chest collapsed, and the wound was so deep, Donald could reach inside and touch her heart. One of the stabs even went through her heart and into her spine. After killing her, he cleaned the blood off in the bathroom, then escaped quietly through a side door. Ben returned at 2:17 a.m. and called the police. Officers arrived at 2:40 a.m. and used a key to get inside. What they saw shocked them. Angela was lying naked on her bed, face up, covered in blood, her eyes wide open. Blood was found in the kitchen, on the bathroom curtain, and on the light switch, showing the killer had cleaned himself before leaving. The autopsy confirmed what police feared. Angela had been raped and stabbed 18 times, mostly in the chest. Her heart and lungs were pierced, and she had injuries so severe it looked like a crime of extreme rage. Because there was no sign of forced entry, police thought Angela must have known her killer. Their first suspect was Ben, her boyfriend. He had been the last person to talk to her and had reported the strange man story, something police thought was suspicious. But Ben remained calm and cooperative. He even gave his fingerprints and took a polygraph test, which he passed. The police also looked at 3 other men. Her ex-boyfriend Lance, who once held a knife to her. A man named Henry, who was obsessed with her. And Russell Buchanan, a friend who lived nearby and had dinner with her earlier that night. All of them gave DNA and fingerprints. DNA testing at the time wasn't advanced, but Ben, Lance, and Henry were ruled out. However, Russell's results were inconclusive, and he became the main suspect. Police searched Russell's home and found a large knife collection. They interrogated him multiple times. He was followed, harassed, and even tricked when police sent someone to talk to him with a hidden wire. But there was no evidence linking him to the murder. Even after he passed a polygraph test, he remained the prime suspect. The case eventually went cold. Meanwhile, Donald Bess went on to rape more women across Texas. On June 14, 1985, he was finally caught again for another sexual assault. This time, because he had violated his parole, he was sentenced to life in prison. Angela's murder remained unsolved for 20 years, until a woman named Sheila Wysocki stepped in. Sheila had been Angela's close friend, and she never stopped thinking about her. In 2004, Sheila said she had a vision of Angela, lying dead, showing her the crime scene. Whether it was real or just grief, Sheila took it as a sign. She started calling the Dallas police over 750 times, asking them to reopen the case. When they refused, Sheila didn't give up. She turned her home into a war room, studying the case by herself. She was so committed that she became a private investigator. Finally, in 2006, cold case detective Linda Crum took up the case. When she checked the files, she found untested DNA evidence. This was a huge moment. In 2009, new tests were done using modern technology, and the result was clear. The DNA matched Donald Bess Jr., the man who had already been in prison for years. In 2010, Bess was charged with Angela's murder. During the trial, multiple women came forward, including his ex-wife, who spoke about his violent behavior. The jury saw the real monster he was. Bess showed no emotion throughout the trial. He didn't apologize, didn't flinch. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. Angela's mother, Betty, lived long enough to see justice served. She passed away in 2021 at the age of 95. Angela now rests beside her under a gravestone that includes a poem she wrote. As for Russell Buchanan, the man who was wrongly suspected for years, his name was finally cleared. Today, he speaks openly about how it felt to live under the shadow of suspicion for so long. In the end, it was a friend's love and unshakable determination that brought a killer to justice, not the system. And because of Sheila's fight, the Dallas police reopened their cold case unit, bringing hope to other families still waiting for answers. Even though Donald Bess was sentenced to death in 2010, he never made it to the execution chamber. He spent the rest of his life behind bars and died of natural causes in prison on October 8, 2022. Angela's story is a painful reminder that justice can take time. If you found this story important or thought-provoking, please give it a like and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories and hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Let us know in the comments, do you think justice was truly served in Angela Samota's case?